Gaming and BS, episode 357, being recorded Monday, August 30th, 2021. Welcome to Gaming and BS, a tabletop RPG podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome to the show, folks. Welcome back to everybody who's been here before. Sean, how the hell are you, brother?
I'm doing all right. Brett, how are you?
Not bad. I had a great 3 days back-to-back-to-back gaming.
What? 3 days? That's crazy.
3 days. It was nice. So Friday, Mr. Craig Shipman and the crew over at Third Floor Wars and Sean as a special guest star. He's my ace in the hole. In case the whole thing went to hell, I knew Sean could help bail me out. But I ran Streets of Avalon. It's the first time Craig's ever played 5e, and
right.
Sean hates the game worse than. No, I'm kidding.
Everybody's nailed me down as the 5e hater. Yeah,
I know, which is hilarious as hell. We all had a really, really good time. Unless everybody lied to my face, they all said they had fun, so that was really nice. Craig, Third Floor Wars, has it posted up on YouTube if you're interested. Could put if you haven't found a link, we'll throw one out there for you. It was a shit ton of fun. It's me running, so there's some F-bombs, some gross horror stuff, children crying, stuff like that. No dead kids, just so people know, none of that. But it was really cool. We had a lot of fun doing it. I have not run Streets of Avalon for strangers, right, in quite some time. So it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It's just session one. We've got at least one more because we haven't wrapped it up or even come close to any kind of ending of sorts. So, and I believe we're already looking at the next one coming up here in September. Should be because September's tomorrow. So this recording. So I think it's like the 13th or something. But anyway, as it gets closer, we'll get the real dates out there for everybody. 16th or 15th, 15th, 14th.
It's the 14th, isn't it?
Could well be.
It's
I can't tell time or anything else.
It's a Tuesday that Sean is not playing Cyberpunk. Correct.
And then after that, Saturday was my Greyhawk game. The guys went into it was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So they not only went into a dungeon, but they also fought and killed a blue dragon.
That's crazy.
I covered all the big stuff, Sean. And in this case, these lousy, quick-thinking bastards, I had them dead to rights in the desert. They go into this ancient tower where this wizard was. They're trying to find a clue that they think that they need. Spoilers, they really don't need the clue. They just decided they needed it. It's kind of funny to me. And so there's blue dragon. There's negative plane stuff going on as well. And they see signs of the blue dragon having ambushed this other group of folks and destroyed them. So then they see it in the distance, like, okay, here's what we got to do. We're going to lure the dragon out. We're going to try to ambush it, so on. It doesn't go very well. The dragon flips the script, ambushes them, lightning bolt blast, laying waste to people, the whole bit. And the thief, Zave's gnome, it's like, he's like, I can't fucking do anything. The damn thing won't land. The paladin / cavalier is like, God damn, I just want a broadside of my lance. And I'm like, yeah, racial memory. If nothing else, this dragon's like, I am not landing anywhere near the guy with the big horse and armor and a stick. I'm not going anywhere near that guy. So he's fucking up next character and blasting everybody else. And Zave goes, wait a minute. I have this route of paralyzation petrification thingy. Zap. It's well within range. What do you have to roll to save against that? So look at the chart. I'm like, I need to roll a 9 or higher. Like, oh, Christ, he's going to do it 7 is what Brett rolls. So, wham! Dragon falls out of the sky. And like a bunch of gleeful high school kids, they're like, we kill it. We jump over the rocks. Oh, we smash its head. We cut it. We chop its head off 5 times. You know, they went ballistic happy. So they killed another dragon. Damn it. But it was a shit ton of fun. A lot of fun. And then Sunday, AJ ran his Midgard game, and Ilana and I, my youngest daughter, were playing our characters. And lo and behold, there was a black dragon in the swamp. We fought and killed the black dragon. It was smaller, but we
out of town.
Yes. So there was a dungeon and a dragon in that 5e game. Oh, yeah.
Crazy. That's crazy.
I'm just saying, I am firing on all D&D cylinders right now. Yeah. Eating it up.
That's
now. That said, though, if you go back to Friday, I feel that the back-to-back dragons helped because there was no dungeon or a dragon in the Avalon game. There was the potential for a dungeon at the tail end, but no dragon. So, but anyway, even though I missed those 2 huge queues for Avalon, I think the rest of y'all still had fun. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't want to, I could tell everybody what happened there, but what's the point? You can watch it or listen to it in the background and so on. It was great. I got to showcase one of VC Young's maps. He's been making geomorphs for me. I've got a slew of them for Avalon, and he does a really wonderful job cartography-wise, kind of showing off how the neighborhoods are built, where they lean in on each other, the twisty, windies, the whole bit. So I had a lot of fun with that. So thank you again, VC. That was awesome. And I do want to get VC stuff out into like a folio at some point, but I really wanted to start showcasing these live action plays as I was doing them. So we're having a lot of fun with it. It's a lot of really, really cool. And the players, man. Sean almost sat on the ship of the guns, but he toyed with me and then got back out into the action. So I was very grateful.
I figured it might be a boring 2-3 hours if I just sat in the tavern. So,
Yeah, it was nice of you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You could have done to others, but you chose not to. You're a bigger man. That was good.
I do what I can.
So apart from suffering through my game, what else did you do? Anything else since we talked last?
I had Cyberpunk Red on Tuesday, and it was fun. Yeah.
Nothing else?
Nope. Streamed Saturday. Brett joined us on the stream Saturday morning for the first time ever.
Yeah.
First time Brett watched a video of ours, I think, on Twitch.
Yes, that's what it is, actually. Yeah.
Somebody gifted him a subscription.
That was funny. Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah. Now I got to be careful what I say on Saturday mornings.
And Sean actually tried to increase my disparaging technology that I'm not into. Sean tried to Venmo me some cash today. I'm like, I don't have a Venmo account. He's like, what the fuck? I'm like, well, if you put it in PayPal, I can get it to my bank. He's like, what's a bank? I said, that's where my Susan B. Anthony and my $2 bills are.
All right, Grandma.
Yeah, I'm like, good Lord, I keep it's just I haven't had a need for a Venmo account, so I just haven't done it, but I got to get one up. So
I looked in there and I'm like, I'll just see if Brett's name comes up, and like your email did it. So I said, I don't remember. Maybe I did for some pint glasses. So then I did it. And then if you don't have an account, you can always retract it. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's all good. Then I PayPal them. That's the story. That's the big story of the day. That's the episode.
Brett's inability to
Venmo
utilize proper technology. Jesus Christ.
But it's what is it for, though? It is for
the Delta Green experiment.
That's right.
So very good. Yeah, we've chosen Hourglass as our adventure. We can put a link out there if you go through our affiliate link. You can get to Drive Through RPG. You can look up Hourglass. If you're not going to play it, so here's my thought. If you want to, and we post up. So actually, let me do this first. Phase 2, right? We picked the adventure. Actually, phase 1, we chose the game. Phase 2, we picked the adventure. Phase 3, the next phase, we have to pick the dates and times. So Sean and I can say, hey, I'm going to run here, here, and here, and here at these times. And Sean will say the same thing. And then it'll be conscripting Shanghai and gamers from the BS community to come hang out with us. My thought is, if anybody is interested in kind of like, following along at home with your own copy, I wouldn't. And if you think you want to play, my advice is don't buy it or read it until after you're in, unless you're one of those people who doesn't care and you can suppress the surprise of, oh yes, I opened the third drawer from the top on the left-hand side. No, I didn't read that adventure. As long as you don't pull that on us, you'll be fine. But Sean had asked me, he said, Brett, do you think you can get it done, this calendar year? And I think October, November, I can knock this out. Because it's a handful of sessions. I think if I get it scheduled up, bam, 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 I can run it through. So we'll make it happen. So that's the plan.
So I think I'm going to start putting stuff into motion so I can get it going. So I'll probably look at, I think I'm leaning towards Sundays, 9 to like noon Central Time, because I think I can squeeze it in that time with limited interruptions.
Yeah, I was thinking Sunday as well, because Sunday tends to be kind of a slow-pokey day around these parts. So it might be a good day. We'll find out.
So we have a Discord channel set up for it that people have expressed interest in potentially playing. We'll see. So, and then I'm gonna write up the little ad. Farty McButterpants, that guy, he posted in the forums what he had put out, I think, for his Curse of Strahd game. Holy shitballs! Like, so he's the one that wrote in.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And said, hey, this is when I have. Well, if I can't find my own game, I might as well run it and then put it out there. I think I think it's from the original one where he recruited. That thing is no joke. Like, you know, it's exactly tight. The game you are signing up for.
We read it here. You know, we read that thing, and where he talked about, hey, look, this is what you got to.
It was like I'm just saying,
but
as long.
he was very specific in like, look, this is what to expect. This is what we're doing. This is what I expect. You can expect from me. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, literally no joke. And I think damn near masterclass in how to say it all. He did a really good job with it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'll do that so that everybody has an understanding of expectations.
Cool.
Yeah. And then we'll get rolling.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, then we'll make it happen. GameholeCon.com. GameholeCon is coming up. That is end of October 21st, if I'm remembering my date correctly. So at this point, we're still kind of watching all the stuff. Gamehole just put out their new little newsletter where they've got, hey, this is their COVID rules. This, and this. Dane County, where they are located, is currently under a mask wearing mandate if you're inside. However, that mask mandate ends on September 16th, if I'm remembering the date correctly, but it ends in September. So we shall see if that gets reinstated. If they say, hey, guess what? Things are still pretty messed up around these parts. Nope, sorry, kids. Still got to do it. Don't know. Right? And that's one of those things where Gamehole doesn't have a choice. It's a county mandate. You could break that rule and never be allowed in the county again, or be good kids and play by the rules. So we shall see what happens there. But Sean and I are watching that so we can figure out what the heck's going to go on. Because you never know. As crazy as this whole thing has been, you could have a funky ass spike and like, look, you can't have it. Sorry. County could shut them down. The state could shut them down. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So keep your eyes on it, kids. We'll see what happens.
Well,
any other not? Oh,
they're
sorry.
Saying that you have to have proof of your vaccination. They were going to have an attestation, but they said no. You have to actually have proof that you've been vaccinated. So somebody will forge it, and then somebody will tweet it like, "Hey, vaccinations are free."
Yeah, it's bizarre. Somebody actually paid some obscene amount of money, or any amount of money, quite frankly, is obscene, to get a fake vaccination card. I'm like, you paid money you paid money so you didn't have to get a free thing. Feels weird. And again, people are people. Whatever your reasons are your reasons. All Sean and I know is we're watching the Gamehole Con system so we can figure out what the rules are. Once we know what the rules are, we can figure out how does we play within those rules, right? This is as they say, rules as written, not as the crew over there, how you interpret them. This is more literal. So we're just making sure we understand it all so we can make the decisions we want to make based on that.
I'm going to put bets down on the person that travels the farthest and forgets their vaccination card.
Or travels the farthest, intentionally didn't get, and then pitches a holy fucking fit.
Oh, well, that's possible too, I guess.
Yep. I'm wondering if we can get the Gamehole Con crew to keep a tally of number of people that are like, you'll hear from my lawyer or some phraseology about that. How this is, you tick, tick, tick. Yeah. And I think it'd be interesting to see how many people lose their fucking minds because they don't understand the rules and laws. But anyway, any other announcements, Ben?
No, I don't think so.
I'll tell you what, let's random encounter up then.
Random encounter.
Keep cooking.
Random encounter, segment of the show where we field emails, voicemails, comments from social media. First one is Chris Shorb leaves a voicemail on dedication versus serious.
If it's Chris Shorb, it's got to be a voicemail. So
yeah, of course.
Settle in, kids. Settle in.
Hey, Brett and Sean. It is Chris Shorb calling about the homework episode. And I just wanted to share a quick thing. You guys had said something about, when you're talking to your players and your players are like, I just don't have time. I don't have time. And you came to the conclusion, well, they don't have time because they don't really have, because they really don't like to do it. And you know what? You've hit on a critical thing. Someone else said to me one time, everybody has the same amount of time. It's how you prioritize the work you do, or in this case, they were talking about work. You prioritize the work that you do in that amount of time. And it's the same with our leisure activities. We all have the same amount of time, including our work. We all have 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's how are we going to prioritize what we do in that time? And so, it sounds like your players in that case, when you give them certain types of homework, they're just not prioritizing that as high as other activities like sleeping or, I don't know what, watching anime. Who knows? Anyways, I thought I'd just share that little anecdote or aphorism with you. Hope you're all doing well. Take care. Bye.
So, Sean, it turns out that has nothing to do with dedication or seriousness.
It's not.
Had you done your homework,
right,
and used your time wisely, and pre-screened, you'd have known what the fuck that was about.
Now with Chris, I somehow, I would agree in a single kind of one-dimensional planar thing. But if you're an individual that finds yourself time traveling or doing, time, space, warpage, and black hole traversing.
Well, if you're a lich and you have access to time stop, I mean, what's the real problem here?
Or you're on a different planet sometimes. Then not everybody does have 365 days in a year.
And so many hours and minutes.
And so many hours and minutes per day. So, I mean, while Chris's intentions are, with the priority thing, fairly accurate, I'm kind of wondering about that whole time and thing.
I see.
Just saying.
You're just looking for an out. Sean's looking for an out because he's kind of in his own world. And in Sean's world, he has fewer hours than the rest of us do. Actually, Chris, that was pretty nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. As always, that was really good. Sean, you can read Mr. Rory's.
I will. Rory. Where are you, Rory? Rory. Back is on Picture This. Back when I was running a Tolus game, I downloaded a ton of images from the book as well as cherry-picking images that fit the campaign and put them all in one folder on my PC. Then set the images from that folder running on a loop on a monitor in the game room. Whenever someone glanced over, they had an image of the city or something that fit the tone of the setting. Worked well for me. I think the players, Rory.
Yeah, Rory, that's a lot like what I was doing before I had monitor access, when my little kid science poster board, picture board type of thing. And I think there's something to be said for that. When you read through a setting book, Streets of Avalon, we've got some nice black and white art in it and so on. The idea is to be evocative of the place. And, adventure art tends to, in my opinion, often try to do two things when I see adventurers art, like WotC stuff anyway. One of them is to be evocative of the location, the setting, and the other one is to show potential images of what could be occurring in a battle or with a trap or a very specific type of encounter. I think I love that idea of just having images cycling through that are flavor. Because if anybody's wanders, right, the eyes wander off of you, or they see an image flash, or there's a change of something, it's bringing them back to the setting, back to the table. And sometimes it's as easy as clothing, dress, modes of operation, and just how things generally look and feel. Again, huge call out to Simba Room, and I love the trade dress of that entire thing. It is wonderful, very evocative. And when you do that, you feel, I think by doing a very similar thing, Rory, is how I'm thinking about running when I get Simba Room to my table with my home group. I'm going to do the same thing. It's going to be art, just to make sure that people get it and that they don't feel that it's quote unquote just D&D. I want them to feel like it's Simba Room and the art is so tight to it. So I would assume Tolus is much the same, because I don't know enough about that city, but it's fucking massive. Just the book wise, you could kill a man with that. I think I read a tweet somewhere where someone accidentally dropped a Tolus book on their foot and they were afraid they'd broken their toes, which is absolutely legit.
Totally legit.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's a smart move, Roy. Thank you, sir. I like it. It's a damn fine idea. All right, where am I at here? Tom comments on picture this. Part of my game prep involves finding particular images, usually important NPCs, particular landscapes or architecture, creatures, etc. We're playing in Discord, so it's easy to share whatever maps or images I need as they come up. When we start meeting in person again, I have a large television on the wall that will take over image duties. That is, I like, Tom, when I see this, I love the fact that you're saying usually important NPCs, particular landscapes or architecture, creatures, etc. You do not need art for all the goblins, maybe the goblin chieftain, maybe the goblin shaman, maybe the goblin witch, warlock, whatever. The castle. Not every fucking hill bump or whatever is out there. You don't have everything you're describing. Theater of the Mind doesn't have to be a piece of art. The important NPCs are fun to do because if nothing else, when you flash that up there. When I was running my last World of Darkness game with my guys, there was a guy, Loden, and they met him and they're talking to him, and Lenny looks at the picture on the screen and says, "Is that really what he looks like?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "So it's fucking Odin. You're just messing with. Look, it's Odin. He's missing an eye. There's a raven. Dink, 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 dink." I'm like, "It is perhaps." Like, God damn it. Okay, it was, which is exactly what it was. But a very important NPC. They've had a slew of NPCs, but that one I had a piece of kick-ass art for. So I like that idea, Tom. That's my preference. Over to you, sir.
This one is from Mr. Tom Flanagan from Knights of the Night podcast. Have to settle in for this one.
He told me he came in stronger. He IM'd me. He said, "Well, I want to say this," and I said, "You'll make Sean cry." He goes, "All right, I'll back it down. So let's see what happens here."
Did he really? He didn't email you, did he?
Hey, of course he did. Tom and I IM all the time. He said, "Hey, I've got some feedback. Should I just send it to you?" I said, "Yeah, just send it in." He goes, "Okay, cool. That's all there's to it. Keep going."
Oh, I see. He's making sure everything's on the up and up.
Totally is.
On player homework, Tom writes, in listening to the episode on player homework, let me rephrase this. Hold on a second. Let me channel Tom's voice here for a second. In listening to the episode on player homework.
Oh, that's mean. Hey, by the way, in case anybody didn't know, Tom is a fairly new grandfather. Did the first grandchild not that long ago. I've seen pictures of the wonderful little boy, and he's just bloody amazing, baby. He's just awesome. Anyway, carry on.
I'm sorry, but I had to disagree with Sean. Sean repeatedly suggested that Brett's comments and suggestions about the players creating story bits was Brett just making the players do the work. First of all, role-playing is supposed to be...
It does not sound like that, not even close. I'm almost offended for Tom. You're going to get your ass kicked by an old man.
I've heard Tom on... Hey, look,
nice tonight. He does not sound like that.
I've heard Tom. I've listened to his actual play podcast. I've heard him on the Streets of Avalon podcast. I think I'm like right in there. Like, I think this is the best impression I've ever done of anybody.
Tom, next time I see Sean, I'll slap him for you. Keep going, Sean.
Where was I now?
I don't know. Maybe I'll start.
Tom's going to be the inspiration for my next player character or NPC.
Read on.
Well, let me get back to that. But I had to disagree with Sean.
Don't do that. Anyway, you're at first of all.
All right. First of all, role-playing is supposed to be cooperative storytelling. If the GM is the only person adding background, history, or NPCs in their relationship with players, then he should be writing a book and not creating an adventure. Hey, I agree with you, Tom. The whole point of role-playing is to have players invent and create characters, their history, and their motives. If a GM allows them to do that and then weaves it into the plot they had designed, that's more work, not less. But it's also wonderful for most players in that it gives the player investment in the game. They are way more likely to be immersed in a story that not only works with their character, but affects their character and their character affects the setting. So sorry, Sean. Sorry, Sean. But I completely disagree with your take on what Brett was describing. Just assign me to Team Brett. Smiley emoji.
So, Tom, in Sean's defense, I think he was giggling because of the fact, like, wait a minute, you gave all this homework to your players? What the hell do you do, Brett? I think that's what he was riding me a little bit there. But, Sean, I think at the heart of it, though, I don't think you disagree with what he's talking about.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Cool. I think it's interesting, though, Tom, regardless of picking on Sean here, I like the way you're talking about that. Having, if I do, it is work, right? For the GM, you let the players do stuff. So I'll hearken to the Friday Streets of Avalon game. I made NPCs, gave them to the players. Sean, you and the guys came up with a little accent for Max and this, that, and the other thing. We had all this different stuff. And people came up with backgrounds, information, things that was happening, what they knew in the neighborhood, who they knew, how they were intertwined. And it was wonderful because I think it's work on both sides. I immediately appreciated the hard work the players were doing at the table to improv some stuff so that their characters would fit really well, which is awesome. And then the fun part for me is then that energy comes back, like a la theater style, and then I feel empowered to improv off of their improv and then keep it rolling, right? Because I have an idea of what the story is, what's going down, and I can weave all these cool parts and pieces into what's happening because you guys were so invested in it that you were throwing more stuff at me that I could work with. I thought it was really good. So kind of hats off to you, Sean, and the rest of the, again, back to Third Floor Wars crew for how that all played out. But I think that was a really good, very recent example of how that functions. So thank you, Tom, for writing in. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Tom.
I'll still slap Sean for you. E. Armstrong comments on YouTube on Dedicated versus Serious. We had someone comment on YouTube and it wasn't some snarky asshole thing. I want to read this.
Yeah.
I think there's a level of respect that comes from joining a group and being there every week. Not to say if you can't make games every once in a while, you're not dedicated, that it builds trust. In the same vein, when someone decides to only show up every few games or not pay attention or anything else that shows boredom linked to the game, that erodes trust. If you're going to build a game, you would hope that there would be trust and respect in the group. I have no problems with the casual players. If you're just there to crack jokes and hang out, that's awesome. But those same players can't use the fact that they don't get the same engagement from the DM as the other players for the reason why they don't like the game. That's wisdom, I think, right there. I think the concept we did not touch on trust, and I think Armstrong hits it dead on there. It's like, yeah, it totally does. It builds trust and erodes trust, because if I'm like, well, if you think about that person who is, if you've ever gamed with them, I've had a few of them. Is so-and-so coming? I don't know. No one believes them. No one trusts them. Well, they said they would, but well, you know what that's worth. I've heard those statements at games. Well, they said they're going to make it. Well, we'll see. As soon as because trying to be the up 8 game master, you're like, well, so-and-so said they're going to come. And when the group fires back, yeah, they say that all the time. Like, oh. Yeah, exactly. The crew, they just don't trust you, you know. And I think a good casual player, somebody's there to crack jokes and hang out and be with their friends, that is indeed awesome, because they're there, they're having a good time. When it gets frustrating for me, and I think Armstrong's saying the same thing here, is when they then complain that I don't like the game because I don't have, you know, Sean seems to be engaging with Brett and Eileen a lot more than with me and, you know, Joseph, or how come Harrigan doesn't get the attention, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, you person, you're not really engaging. You just kind of hang out. You forget your character half the time, or whatever the case is. So that's some smart stuff. And thank you for saying something positive on YouTube. Holy cow.
Right.
That's, I mean, honestly, I'm not kidding.
I read it. I was like, wait a minute.
Was this a YouTube comment? Where'd this come from? Yeah.
YouTube, what?
Wow. Most YouTube comments are incredibly snarky.
Not all.
Nice.
We've got some BSers that do watch some of the episodes and comment.
Oh, we absolutely
Blake
do.
Ryan has in the past, and some others. So
no, we do. Honestly, I just
But somebody that we're unaware of or more random.
Yes, E. Armstrong is somebody who
Yep.
first time responder.
Yeah.
Nice that they listened, and quite awesome. And it's kind of cool that they said something very nice. So thank you. Appreciate it. We good? Think we're moving on?
Yes. Thank you for everybody having written in, commented, or etc. Emailing, voicemailing. Thank you very much. Let's get to the main topic, Brett.
Sounds good, man.
What in the hell are we talking about this week, Brett?
Well, I've often said, I don't prep. I improv everything, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's a really common statement from me, I know, and other folks who like to improv a lot of stuff. But I think I'm lying to you. and here's why. Because I caught myself over my last Greyhawk game. I'm mixing in. Looks around. No, okay. Nobody from my game group is here. The Return to the Tomb of Horrors. Right, I'm pulling that in. So it's a published adventure. I'm reading and I'm architecting into the event. So
see, that's true. So Brett has and does run published adventures.
So this is one of the first times in a very long time I have. And apart from reading it, rereading it, and it's like a casual thing for me. And this is what got me thinking about it, Sean, was that I was sitting around thinking, man, the guys are going into the forest again with this undead, their dark intrusion is occurring, this, that, and the other thing. What is something challenging? What haven't I thrown at them for a while? One of my favorite weird ass monsters is the yellow musk creeper. It's this weird flower that creates yellow musk creeper zombies. It's right out of the old Fiend Folio. I've run it before. It's a son of a bitch, right?
I think it's in. Is it in the Sunless Citadel? It's in one of the more popular ones.
Could well be.
Yeah.
And then I decided, but it's a plant. It's kind of sedentary. I did a weird twist on it last time I ran an Avalon game with it. I'm like, I got it. I'm going to take a giant troll out of Fiend Folio. It's a hill giant sized troll. Regenerates. It's a son of a bitch to kill. And that thing's infected. It can't die because it regenerates. So it's just roaming around with this living, writhing yellow musk creeper thing on it. So I'm like, okay, this will be great. I sorted out in my head some options how that'll play. It'll be this troll that basically walks in the group and causes havoc because it's doing its troll damage. Hard to fucking stop the thing. And I'm draining intelligence points off of players as they're getting beaten to shit by this yellow musk creeper vines and stuff too. I prepped that. It was a 10-minute thought. Ooh, this will be interesting. And the reason I prepped that is because I was like, what could I do? I sat down, grabbed the Fiend Folio, and I just flipped through the pages. I was on a lunch break for work. I'm like, you know what? I got a half hour. I'm gonna get some lunch. Sit on the couch right here behind me. Flip through a monster manual. Oh, yeah, right here. Boom. Little mashup. Got it. That's prep. I don't often think of it as that. I think I and perhaps some other people misrepresent or misthink about in our own heads and how I say it to other people what game preparation is, Sean. And I think sometimes when I'm reading the module, right, when I've read and have figured out how I want to do Return to the Tomb of Horrors, I think of that as real prep because I'm reading an actual module, right, where I have to look at real words, or if I write something down, then it's prep. But if it's just in my head, I don't think of it as such. When in fact, I'm always prepping. I don't stop. When I'm getting ready for my kids, when they finished up their first edition Forgotten Realms game.
Tell me more.
I'm thinking when they're I want to use the concept of the Delian Order from Matt Colville because I just like the little piece he threw out there. So I grabbed I need a map, got a map, use the oath from the Delian Order. We'll see where this goes. I have to use it, Calrol the Vile. I'm going to steal that from Matt too because what the hell, my kids don't know anything about it. I'll try this. And every time we get together, I'm like, oh yeah, game night tonight, or it's in 2 days, I'm playing for the kids. What am I going to do to them? Where are they at? What's going to go on? And I would think about that off and on throughout the day as I'm working in between meetings, going for a walk, hanging out. And quite frankly, every time I bring it up on the show, I say, yeah, I played D&D with my kids last week. I'm immediately thinking about what's going to come in the next session. It's in my head. I'm noodling through what am I going to do? And it feels like no preparation simply because I like reading monster manuals, rule books, paging through adventures, looking at art, as we talked about last episode, and all these other things that we talk about. I do that shit for fun because it's just enjoyment for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm
And
doing
how does
that,
and how does that make you feel, Brett?
it makes me feel like a liar, Sean. I tell these people I don't prep,
hey.
and I fucking prep all the time. I am, man. I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like, I don't stop prepping. And I mentioned it to my buddy Lenny. We were out for a hike the other day on Sunday. I said, yeah. He goes, well, that makes sense. He said, it's not like you're writing all the notes down. Like our buddy Nick, when he runs the Star Wars game, he tends to take more notes. And Lenny's like, I take a lot more notes, like write a lot of shit down. He said, I have to do that. He said, you do the same thing. It's just in your head. So it feels like you didn't do any work, quote unquote, because Brett is seeing prep as work. And work is writing it down. Work is typing up a bullet list. Work is doing X, Y, or Z physical thing, instead of just thinking. I honestly think it's kind of fun. It reminds me of the first Avengers movie when the Hulk is rolling out there and Banner looks back at him and he goes, "Hey, we need the Hulk." And he goes, "That's my secret. I'm always angry." He just rolls out there. He just turns into the Hulk. Like, "Wait, look, here you go." And I think
I thought you were totally going to say, like the Avengers movie, I'm an Avenger and I prep like this and I whip out my superpowers.
No, I think it's that because you're always doing it, it makes my improv nature and how I run things easier. So Friday's game, Streets of Avalon. Like, what the fuck am I going to run?
Oh, dude, you're not going to pull back the curtain, are you?
Little bit.
Oh,
so a little bit, not too much. So 2 weeks before, I'm thinking, okay, game's coming. I have 4 stories in my head. I'm like, I could do this one, or this one. And I wrote, go run them over. I'm like, well, I chose these pre-gens. I like them. They work well in the city. It'll be a great experience for the players. And finally, for whatever reason, I'm like, oh my God, I know what the monster is, like the big thing. I know what the end result is. I throw out all 4 of those ideas and I go, Butcher Baker, Candlestick Maker. I've run that adventure before. That's what it is. Wasn't even my view at first. I'm like, bam, that's the adventure. I got it. I ran that at GamehoCon, a couple GamehoCons ago. I'm pulling that fucker back out. That's the one. That's it right there. And I did that over a period of 2 weeks. Sort in my head, in my free time, in my downtime, looking at stuff, thinking about things, just mulling it over. And I think the reason that's Brett's preferred method of prep is because it allows me to balance all the other shit I like to do. So, for example, this weekend I'm going up to the cabin to do some deer hunting stuff with my son, getting prepped because the following weekend is a youth hunt that he can go out and shoot a deer, hopefully. So every time we go out there, I'm out there with AJ, I'm hiking with Lenny, I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing. I'm in the woods somewhere. I think about, man, I look at the scree slope I'm walking up on Rib Mountain here in Wausau, where I'm like, holy fuck. Lenny and I were walking up there last time, and I looked down and said, how many times would your fighter just like jump off this cliff because he's being chased by orcs? He's like, well, I just jump. How far is it? 20 feet. It's 2d6. I can take it. And we looked down and they were like, holy crap, you break your legs. That's prep for me. I'm looking at the distance, the hillsides, everything I'm in, and I'm thinking about what would it be like? How would I describe how horrible this swamp is? I have walked through a cedar swamp in Upper Michigan and where I'm sinking down practically to my knees or deeper in alder bushes and just nasty shit. And I'm like, wow, man, I'm glad. And the first thing that hits me, believe it or not, is I'm glad I don't have fucking plate mail on. This would blow. Because I'm a fucking nerd. That's why this shit hits my head, right? And I think by kind of always having that thought process going on, I probably do a couple things. One, I probably miss animals I could be hunting because I'm thinking about something else instead of doing what I should be doing. But it's fun. I like doing it. I read a book. If I read the Thomas Covenant series or I read this series or that series or anything I'm reading, it comes to mind. Gaming shit always comes to my head. Always. And I think that feeds my prep because I lock this. I do not know how I've done it. If I did, I would tell people. But I have a method in my head where I go, oh, that's a neat idea, and it's stuck in there. And then when the opportunity arises, I'm like, there we go. This is perfect. I got it. And something happens, and I think about what it was. For the Friday game, you guys like, oh, hey, it must be Ronaldo. I came up with that name on the spot. what he was, his personality. It's based on all this other fucking prep work I did. All this other thinking about it, noodling over ideas.
Didn't you ask us?
Ronaldo? No, I came up with Ronaldo.
Oh,
you guys
okay.
came up. You guys had other names I needed.
Okay.
But anyway, does that make any sense, Sean? Kind of the always prepping, where you're always kind of thinking about stuff, reading, looking. And I know some folks don't like doing that. Some people don't enjoy sitting down, poring over a D&D monster manual, looking for ideas or stuff. But I'm just using it as a specific example. But does that make sense to you, or what are your thoughts when you hear me babble about that?
I would say that is something that comes to my mind quite a bit as well, but I don't know if I retain it as well as you do.
And I'm going to say this right now. That is not, in case anybody thinks this, that doesn't mean I do not see myself as having some ability or intelligence greater than yours in this case, Sean. Right. It's just the way I do it, the way I'm retaining it differently than somebody who said, ooh, they keep a notebook with them, and every time they've got a good idea, they write it down.
Yeah.
Because that's how they retain information. It's just a different method to get to the same thing. So anyway, I just wanted to say that very clearly. I'm not saying I'm better, smarter, stronger, faster, more ninja than anybody else. It's just what I'm doing. And it just made me realize that when I say out loud, I'm not prepping, it's kind of bullshit. I really am. So anyway, back to you. So you do it different, retain it different.
It rolls through my brain. And I think with the Forbidden Lands game itself is more up that approach, as it's always lingering in the back of my brain because the game is approaching. Like, I got to get ready for the game to have something to put in front of those guys and see what they're going to do. And it has to have, I don't know if, I mean, it's got to make somewhat sense. Like, I don't want to pull something completely crazy out of my butt where it breaks cohesion. Mm-hmm. And, I was looking, I sat down this past Sunday, and right behind me, I got a table. And I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to sit at the computer. I'll sit at this table. It's my new table. And just start looking at Forbidden Lands and see if something jogs my memory. Now, that's a little different than you going through the woods and just kind of walking down the street and things of that nature. But still, even though
you took time to think of something.
Yes. Well, not really, because I was focused. I got distracted. I was still in Forbidden Lands world, but I was looking at the timeline and some of the other things that comes with Forbidden Lands, because there's some things I want to leverage within the setting to put in front of the characters. Blah 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 blah. So there's some things that I didn't. When I first got Forbidden Lands, I didn't go through and read all the lore. I did to some degree, but I didn't put it to memory and go, oh. There's a lot of moving parts, so it's like rereading maybe a first part of a novel. Regardless, I do get into moments what you're talking about, like it's like running down or driving down the street or listening to a show or, finding something that spurs a thought, an idea, something you want to put into the game. Sometimes I'll remember it, sometimes I won't. I mean, that's just in general, like ideas, this is a great idea. Get it home. Nothing's going on. Oh, I should do something. What was that idea I had? Shit, I don't know. Fuck. Or I just won't recall it anyway. Period. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not even. Yeah, I had an idea 8 hours ago, and it's like out of sight, out of mind, and it's gone.
Have you ever had it where you read? So one of the reasons I want to draw attention to this is that when I'm running Greyhawk, as I've said repeatedly, I will go through and grab my box set books and just flip through them. Again, just weird ass shit that's fun for me, or maybe not weird. Maybe other people like this too. But I go, I didn't know that about this god. I go through the box set, first edition box set, read the back and go, oh my God, these guys were giving out specialty priest shit back in first edition. I just don't remember this. Oh my God, there's this god who's basically the god. He's the gunslinger. He's got 2 6-shooters. Wow, this is weird. This is some funky shit that Gary did. And the other thing I do, though, is apart from finding out stuff I've long forgotten or whatever, but I'm like, wow, this is what there's a cool thing about these clerics. I wonder what Cuthbert has, because I've got 2 guys who just got into worshiping Cuthbert. Oh, neat. Cool. And by rereading the timeline or whatever is when you're talking about the timeline and the lore around Forbidden Lands, do you find that when you do brush up on some of that you, even if you don't find immediate use for it, do you feel it coming back to you at some point? Like you planted a seed in your creative brain and it shows up later on in play?
Oh, it will, because I will, by doing that, it solidifies it better into my memory. So settings and rules and stuff like that isn't Sean reads it, absorbs it, implements it, adheres to it. There isn't that flow. It's Sean does it 2 or 3 times. Okay, now I got it. And now I can reference that. I understand it. And then the dynamics. Forbidden Lands is a little unique because it's hexcrawl and you can use all the default stuff, but there isn't anything saying that you can't turn left or right. The only, and that's fine, but I think that there's enough there that I think some of the players would want some of that, right? If they read some of the details of the Ravenlands and wanted to see some of those dynamics come out and play, and the game master doesn't do that, then it's like they could be letting down a player a little bit.
Fair. Right? I get that. Yeah.
It'd be like, hey, I'm going to run Curse Strahd, but you're never going to run into Strahd, and there's no Ravenloft. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's prep. I was for Curse of Strahd prep and even Tomb of Annihilation, I was handling those things completely different. Same with Forbidden Lands. It's like,
are you having more fun with one approach to prep than another?
Well, that's kind of a trick question because Curse.
So it is, and I've got a good reason why I'm asking you. So I'm open.
I see.
Keep going.
You're setting it up.
I'm setting you up.
Curse of Strahd and some of the published adventures, you have a cast of characters and you have, certain destinations. They're going to come. I mean, literally, it's like the adventurers come in on this side of the map, and eventually they're going to make their way across the map.
To the other side of the map, yes.
Like it's just inevitable that that's the way it's going to happen. So while it's not a railroad, it's a linear. It can be linear, even if it's a sandbox. Like Tomb of Annihilation, I think is even more interesting because it's an island.
Well, think of it as that there's a destination, right?
There is a destination.
All clues point to this thing.
Right. The end goal is to get to the tomb. The end goal is to get the Ravenloft and kill Strahd, whatever. Even though Strahd's kind of unique because you can go right there.
It's very unique. Yeah,
right away.
It's crazy stuff.
But so with that approach to prepping Curse of Strahd specifically, I used Sly Flourish's method because it's easy to, I find it easy to take the approach of he's got like 7 or 8 steps. And if you're doing published, you don't need 2 or 3 of them because they're already in the adventure, like certain items that they might come across or certain NPCs. But I still documented them in Notion by just making kind of a database of going, okay, here's what this person is. So if they do run into them, I could just, instead of flipping through, stuff and trying to find my notes, I can just go to this entry, right, and go.
So
got it.
I like what you're saying because what I have found is that the reason the type of prep that I'm doing for me works is twofold. It's utilitarian for how my brain functions. It just is a good way for how I learn stuff, how I retain data, how I can recall data. I've just figured out by trial and error, essentially, what helps me. The other thing is that it has utilitarian purposes for me in game, right? So if your method is writing down on a Notion board, moving cards, doing whatever, the utility of that is great. I think it's kind of interesting because the more I've thought about prep, and we've had some BSers ask about this in the forums, another thing is like a topic, and I keep thinking about it. I'm like, we've talked about it, man. We've talked about it. What else could I say? What else could I say? And every time we get into a detail about what it is that Sean is really doing, how did you prepare for this particular adventure? I mean, I can tell you right now, as we go along, Sean, we look at the Delta Green game we want to run Hourglass, right?
Project BS, Brett.
Project
the Delta
BS,
Green
sorry.
experiment.
Sorry, the Delta Green experiment. Yes, sorry. So when we run Hourglass, I will prep it different than you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that's definitely worth us talking about, because what's going to happen is I'm going to get the adventure. Actually, I bought it. I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
He's going to throw it out the window.
No, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it multiple times and have a think process of how I digest it and what I do and how I go about it. And I think there's because if I lay dawned on me the other day, I'm like, I don't ever stop prepping. There's always something in my head thinking, boy, that'd be neat to use the game. And I know some folks, when I've said that to some of the people who game with me, other people I've talked to, they'll say, I can't do that because I have to write it down. I'm like, I think nothing less of that person. And I 100% don't want that person to think, oh my God, you've got some crazy power that you can recall shit. No, it's just how my brain functions versus how somebody else does. I know for a fact that if I don't have certain things written down for my day job, I don't remember shit. Right?
Because you're using all of that capacity
for the stuff that really matters.
RPG prep.
The stuff that matters.
Right.
For RPG prep, hunting, hanging out with my kids, that stuff. This is just a day job. I have calendars. I got shit that I can look at it and go, what do I have to do this week? It's on my calendar.
You have staff.
Not that I actually organize my calendar. I'm not that wealthy. I just, I'm look at my calendar. Oh, where do I have to be today? Here. I'll get this done. I got audit shit to do. Ding. So it's a different level of organization. My free time is my time. And I like to do things that are fun. And I think at the end of it for me is that if I could do a little bit of prep every day, flip through a monster manual over lunch, I watch a fun movie. I got a hold of HBO Max finally, and I've rewatched all of the Samurai Jack cartoon. I love Samurai Jack. It's one of my favorite cartoons ever. I went, oh my God, that's an adventure right there. So again, I don't stop thinking that way. Because that it's fun for me, I've grown that muscle where I'm like, oh, I love doing this. I love looking at stuff and thinking about how I could use it again. And other folks I know don't like doing that at all, because I've talked to some gamers who told me that when they do that, they feel they don't enjoy the other form of art. They're watching a movie and they're missing parts of the movie, or they're dissecting the movie, or they're not in the moment of what's happening because their brain is doing something else. They do not like that feeling. I'm like, I don't have that problem, but I would totally understand it if that was where you would say, I want to watch the movie, enjoy it, and then after the movie think, now I'll rewatch it with the idea of mining it for D&D ideas or whatever ideas, or Cypher System, whatever it is you're watching. But anyway, I don't need to belabor it too much, Sean, but I just thinking about it, because I often will say things that I don't prep. I just improv everything. The reason I can improv anything is because I don't stop prepping. For me, this is what works for Brett, is that I'm constantly running through shit. And so when you guys do something in Streets of Avalon, I've run enough Streets of Avalon stuff with my group, and other people wrote the setting, did all this stuff. I have all this shit in my head. It is very natural for me to improv a Streets of Avalon game because I have all this crap built up in my head, right? If you were to say, let's play D&D right now, I'm like, okay, go make some characters. What setting? Avalon? Great, got it. And we'll do stuff, because I know all this shit. I know all this stuff that can happen. Right. If you were to say, hey, let's play Star Trek Modifius, I'm like, I can't do that right now. Yeah. I need to read the rules. I don't understand it enough. There's, I've got pieces I can't do that to. But I think it's interesting to think about how you prep. And like I said, when I got to it, I'm like, this is actually fun for me. I like doing this. I don't see it as a burden or some, I always have to be thinking about this stuff, or I'm never ready. It's just fun for me. And I think that is maybe the prepping key at the end of all this, Sean, is if you find a way that you can prep that's fun for you. Whether it's like every Tuesday at 3:00 per my calendar, I sit down for an hour and I do game prep. If that's the funnest way for you to do it, I think you're going to get a hell of a lot more out of it. Whatever that method is. And you may need to try 5, 6, 10, God knows how many different ways means, policies, and devices to sort out what's the most fun way for you to prep. But I think there's some power in that. If it's fun and fun for you to do, you're going to want to do it more often, right? And you're not going to see it as work, because work sucks. Does that make sense, Sean?
Work does suck. It does make sense. Work sucks.
It does make sense. Does any of this, I'm not asking you to say, hey, you're going to try to prep the way Brett does, because that's not, I mean, you're not me and I'm not you. I can't, not that I can't, I don't want to, quite frankly, see if I can prep the same way you do, because I found a method that works for me.
Well, I think part of this experiment with Delta Green, people are wanting to see what's under the hood and how things are presented. And I think prep is going to be a component of that. And with me running published and the first time of this scenario, I'll probably document. So there's to me, published adventure can be dense, and it can be the smallest scenario. Lost Mine, Phandalin, whatever, dense. Background, this, that. Characters go to question the police, the witness, whatever, in Delta Green. You know, when I did, kind of skipping that, but when I did music from a darkened room, there's a few moving parts in that freaking scenario. Like, there's a few people that they can talk to, and there's a lot of history about this house that they go and investigate. So in order to make sure that I'm not all over the place, it's almost like I take out everything Detwiller did and put it in my own format so that I can reference it easier, quicker, and understand who that person is and who that person is not. So when
I think Detweiler would be like, well, you fucking right, you do. Why would you? Of course you do. You know?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's others that'll just read it, and then they will either do it like, maybe they'll read it like you, and you'll just go, okay, I know that guy, okay, got it. You put it in your brain, you file it away. Me, I'll probably have a list of the cast of characters, right? The co-stars in the show that are going to end up running into some of these people. As I do that, I don't, not only do I go, okay, I think I got this down, but it's also kind of solidifies it in my brain. And so I can start picturing how it'll flow as things start to take place in the game. Mm-hmm. So I think prep for some people, and, you know, whether it's good or bad, different, whatever, how you want to frame it up, is, especially with RPGs, it's not a matter, Sly Flourish was like, hey, don't plan too many combat encounters. I'm like, why are you planning combat encounters anyway? It should just be an encounter. Let the players decide if it's combat or not, right?
Yeah. You fight or not. I mean, you talk to the baker. You can get the fuck out of it.
What if they go in there and they say, parlay, we want to join your forces. Screw this shit. Like, we don't want to kill you. We just want to understand you better. Like, what? I don't know what the players are going to do.
Yep.
And I think by some of the prep, like even with the Forbidden Lands, these guys are faced they're like sweating because they're really beat up from the last encounter. Like, the Harpies came down and they weren't going to negotiate with them.
Yeah. So what are they going to do next?
What are they going to do next?
They could fight something.
They're confronted with 4 humans. Like, what the hell are you doing here? So now it's like, what are these guys going to do? So as a game master, I have to, that's what it is. Like, I can just show up to the next session and go, all right. Or do I plan something or give them options in the moment so that they can determine whether they want to fight, flee, negotiate, I don't know.
And I think whatever you do have to do to prepare for the fact that the next encounter rolls up and the author has no idea what condition my players' characters will be in when they get to that next encounter.
Right.
Are they full health? Are they half health? Are they on death's door? Are they dragging 2 dead companions? Who knows, right? And similar with Delta Green, like, are you dead? Are you down 2 people? Are you shot up? Did you do something stupid? Did you do something wicked smart? And you're like, wow, I could totally jump past this thing. All of those components. And that's why prepping can be so key and / difficult for people, is like, how do I prepare for all the stuff that's possible? And again, for me, for my ability to improv came from this. Again, this is not trying not to pat myself on the back because let's break my own arm. What I want to say is that by constantly doing stuff, looking through the adventure, parsing through this, picking it up in between sessions, go flip. Oh yeah, that's right. Flip. Oh yeah, that's right. 5 minutes here, 2 minutes there. By doing that, I'm actually doing it over a protracted period of time, where someone like Sean is like, well, I can do that in a half hour, 1 day a week. Why would I fuck around and spend 6 days doing 10 minutes? That's dumb, Brett. Why didn't you just do it all at once? I don't know. I don't like working like that. So I think you're right. There's so many pieces and parts to what you have to prepare for, right? It's not just the adventure or the session. It's like, what did last session do to this one, and what's this one going to do to the next one? There's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
I think the end, what was it? Zen, like the
zen of preparation.
The final nirvana of prep is being able to improv anything. Like literally just being the person that's going to be like, all right, you guys ready to play? Cool. We're going to set you down here, and this is what's going to go on. Now, whether that is, a routine, I've done some public speaking, and if it's on the topic that I know, I just go in there and use the same thing that I used before. Very natural. I don't have a script. I hit the high points, go into those, answer some questions. But that's something I feel very comfortable in doing because I've done it 5, 6, 7, 10 times. I go to, when I used to talk at the local junior college here for IT students, I always had the same kind of thing. Same with role-playing games. Like if you're going to run, candlestick, candle maker, baker, stick, candlestick taker scenario.
Oh God. But I have to know my rules. Do I know my rules? Yes. Do I know the setting? Yes. I have an adventure I've run.
Yes.
Done.
So
I can improv off that adventure 15 different ways.
You have all the parts and all the components. It's not the first time you've ever run it.
And it's also not just that particular adventure. The way you guys are going about it, this is the original players who I ran this for at GameHoleCon would recognize bits and pieces of what's going on right now, but the rest of it would be totally fucking new to them.
Sure.
Because I've tweaked it so much.
Right.
What have I tweaked it with? Shit that I've been doing over the last 20 years of Avalon's setting development with my group.
But you
it's just stuff that's in my head.
But you could tweak it knowing you've had that as a foundation. Yeah, it's like, hey, I've baked this kind of bread for 5 years. I think I'm just going to add less sugar to see what happens. Like you're not, hey, I'm going to take this like, somewhere else. Yeah. Like, Yeah, this isn't like, well, what we're going to do? We're going to play Star Wars right now. Right. Right.
Fuck.
So you got this like portal in the middle of town. Okay, we go through it. All right, you find yourself on the ship of a big starship, and there's stars flying across. You're not.
Yeah, you're right. There's some improv. One of the keys about improv is knowing what your bumpers are, right? And that's one of the reasons why an improv crew. This is just me talking here, but where they'll say, "Look, give me a name, a location, and an activity." They want to understand what their bumpers are, what they're playing within, how crazy, how whatever it is, and so on. Similar stuff. What setting, what rules.
My point is that as game masters, and we get into certain routines, whether it's taking notes, not taking notes, filed in the back of our brains, however we do it, eventually, if we can hone in on our craft and well enough so that it leads to, I would say maybe leads to total improvisation, then you have reached.
You've reached Brendan LaSalle versions of Dungeon Crawl Classics.
It could be that it doesn't necessarily have to be, but I think that the first time a game master comes to the table, they may not know where to start. and they don't know where it's going to go, and they don't know what the players are up to. And with time and experience, you and I both know how I feel about the RPG resume. Like, I'm starting with white box, and therefore I'm,
whoop-de fucking do, dude. Yeah.
Right.
Who cares?
I've been gaming since 1974 and game mastering for that long and been running a 40-year campaign and, whatever, which is great. Some of it's fine, but it's like the position that somebody pitches it. Anyways, is that I think over time, we just understand that players are more apt to doing strange things that we don't prep for.
And I think one of the reasons my mantra of always prepping, the reason I'm doing that is because I'm thinking about, I could see that happening. What would happen if they do this? That's the thought in my head, right? So I'm sitting there thinking, boy, the guys are going to go, he's killed the blue dragons. They killed the 2 Zagyay. Negative planar things. They know there's these weird desert mountain giants in the mountains. What are they going to do? Well, if they go through the hills, this, and this could happen. What if they fly over the top? What if they do this? So think about that shit. And then 5 minutes at some point this week, or between here and the next game, I'll sit down and say, what happens if they fly over the top of the mountains? Because they have the power. I'll flip through something. I'll figure out, or I'll think it over my head and go, if that happens, this occurs. Cool, neat. And I don't have to answer all the questions. I just think about some obvious options.
Right.
And then if they think of something wickedly fucking cunning that I've never thought of, like, oh my God, okay, it works totally fine. I'm not afraid to let the players have that because I didn't think of it, had no clue. Nothing I have prepped for at all could even be twisted in the craziest way to account for that. It would be so fiat. It's just dumb. Let them have it. But it's something 9 times out of 10, though, I'm like, I thought about the 5 most obvious things they could do. They chose an option 7. Well, you know what? That's actually close enough. So if I take options 1 and 3, I got option 7 covered. Right. So again, I'm just going to noodle my way through it piece at a time, thinking about what they could do, what I might have to do in response to that. And then I just log it away. So anyway, I think that's enough out of us, at least out of me for sure. You good?
I'm good.
All right. So folks, I don't know how well this resonated, if at all. So let us know what you think about kind of always prepping and that concept, if it makes sense to you, or questions, comments, other approaches that are helpful. Great, because I think one of the best things we can do is keep sharing ideas of what we do, how we do it, because somebody else is going to listen to Sean and I and go, that doesn't make sense. Well, one of you is going to write in a letter. We're going to read it. And that next person is going to listen to that and go, oh my God, this is gorgeous. This is fucking gold right here. They're going to love it, and that's going to work. So if you got something, send it in. We'll share your diamonds and we'll see who picks them up. Shall we?
We shall. Let's get into die roll. Die roll 2 to 4 miscellaneous points of gaming and geekery we want to share with you. Got 3 this week. First one, Call of Cthulhu. New free character sheets to mark the game's 40th anniversary.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so go ahead and check that out. I think they're okay. Pretty cool, I guess. And then, let's see. Second one, 13th Age Humble Bundle. $25 will get you 37 items. And proceeds will help the Oceana charity.
Very
so
cool.
check that out. It's if you're 13th age, it's a good time to check it out. Get in.
Or if you're just interested in $25 for 37 items, which is at least one of those books is a $50 book in print.
I don't know if I have gotten in on I mean, sometimes these rerun, and I don't know if I have this one or not. I don't know.
I have 13 age PDFs. So I've got them from back when I supported it early in the day. But yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot there.
What else we got here?
The last one, Stingers and Spores Kickstarter. Thanks to Akadoken for bringing this one to our attention. It's got 23 days to go. It has hit its funding goal. It's a tabletop RPG of high fantasy and insects using the Savage Worlds rule system.
High fantasy meets entomology in Stingers and Spores, a romp across mysterious and perilous lands of the insect kingdom. Experience this new and exciting world from the compound eyes of the bugs who live there. Love it. Fun. Fucking golden age of gaming, man. I never thought such a game needed to be made, and I don't even needed. Don't throw that word out. I didn't think that game would be made, but somebody out there said, hey, I got an idea. That's fucking cool. That's awesome.
So if you were the bud guy in high school.
Or if it's just different, something you want to do that's just crazy weird.
Yes, that's true.
Or when your players get cursed or polymorphed or suddenly they turn into a thing or reincarnated as, like, hey, guess what? Bug world. Fucking gold, man.
Look at Brett. He's prepping. Always be prepping.
Always prepping. Always
freaking
be prepping.
Set of steak knives.
Coffees for preppers.
I was going through some of the Glengarry Glen Ross GIFs.
Put that coffee down.
That coffee.
Coffee is for closers. Second place,
right.
steak knives.
Yeah, I gotta watch that again. That's hilarious.
All right.
These leads are shit.
You're shit. You don't like it? Quit. Anyway.
What are we talking about next week, Brett?
You've had this up there for a bit, and I want to grab onto it because I did it for the Athlon game. We're going to talk about starting in a tavern. So that'll be next week.
Starting in a tavern or starting somewhere other than a tavern?
No, starting in a tavern.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Why you would do it. What about it? How do you make it interesting?
Everybody does it.
I know.
Not
we
everybody.
Do it. But BSers do it better. So we're going to talk about it.
Oh, okay. Well, fantastic.
Yeah,
well, excellent.
So we'll do that.
So we'll do that one. Thanks for everybody. That concludes this show for this week. Thanks for everybody showing up and for the live taping. We appreciate it. We tape here every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time at gaming8bs.com.
And you give me crap for not using Venmo and you say tape. No one uses tape.
Tape, man.
Yeah,
tape.
Sure, ask my kids
we
what that means.
re-record here. Tape.
Yeah, record. That's better.
Did I say tape?
You said tape.
I like tape. I'm going to find a reel-to-reel. I'm going to get a Betamax and
I'll put it in my safe deposit box at my bank.
I'm going to put it in my Fawwood Entertainment Center.
Nice.
Anyways,
all right.
Otherwise, if you see this on YouTube, give us a like or subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, you can tune into this at our flagship show, audio podcast. Just go to your podcatcher of choice, put in gamingandbs.com and subscribe. We appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for Gaming and BS. I'm Sean.
Then I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.